Welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Really, we are so pleased you joined our webinar about research project proposals. My name is Adam Przybylowski from Gdynia Maritime University, and I will have a pleasure to moderate today's meeting. And I'm here with our rector, but more importantly, head of the Academic Affairs Committee of IAMU. Please, Adam, welcome the participants. The floor is yours.
So hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. It is an honor for me again to open our webinar, frankly speaking, workshop, IAMU Research Project Proposal, and we will discuss about how to prepare a project for next edition. We will have two presentations, and after this, I invite you to the discussion about the particular. Adam is perfect person to moderate this meeting with a lot of experience, and I am happy that we can continue again with our meeting. Nice to see you, and I wish you the fruitful discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Rector. And also let me welcome Takeshi Nakazawa, the director of IAMU, joined us. Nice to see you, Takeshi. Also, this webinar is co-organized by, of course, IAMU Secretariat. So Yusuke Mori, Deputy Director, and also Shiemi Masaki. And co-moderator Aftandi Gegenava from Georgia. Thank you for joining. And we will be having two speakers, as Adam has just mentioned, Christian Matthews and Ian Jenkinson from Liverpool John Moores University. So briefly, let me, again, we are so pleased that we have we'll be having 100 participants from all around the world, a lot of IAMU universities, and we hope there will be a perfect occasion, as our rector has just said, to understand the system, how it goes with the projects, and maybe also a chance for networking already to searching for the partners. We will be having two presentations, and after the presentation, we will have a question and ask part. So first, let me give the floor to Christian Matthews. Christian, you can start sharing your screen. And will explain actually the details about the evaluation criteria, application process. We can see your presentation on the screen. It's perfect. So Christian, please go on.
Many thanks, Adam. And how wonderful to see so many people here today. I'm going to give quite a short presentation, maybe just 15 minutes, in which I'm going to give you an overview or guide to the research themes, to the way that we evaluate the criteria for the research projects, and also a little bit more about the application process. So an outline of my presentation, I'm going to point you in the right direction in terms of the documents that contain all of the essential information that you'll need for this. But I'm going to extract some of the information from those documents. I'm going to talk about three key things. And they are, first of all, the research themes for this year. I'm going to talk about that for about 5 minutes. And of course, there are two tracks in that. There's the all academic staff and the young academic staff schemes that we run. And then I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about the evaluation criteria and highlight some of the things that we're looking for when we're evaluating proposals. And again, spend about 5 minutes on that. And there are some small differences between the criteria that are used for all academic staff compared to the young academic staff scheme. And then finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about the application process. Two things around that really. One is the requirements and eligibility. And then secondly, a little bit more about the timeline. And if you've got any questions after I've finished, I think we're going to save questions for the end of the webinar after Ian's finished his presentation. But very happy to answer any questions you have then. Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to point you all in the direction of two key documents that hopefully have already been circulated to you. But I just wanted to highlight the fact that pretty much all of the information that I'm going to talk about today is available in the documents that have been circulated by the Secretariat. So there are two calls for research proposals, the main call, which is for all academic staff. And there are three annexes attached to that. One is a set of guidelines for the research proposals. There's a set of procedures for the implementation of research proposals. And then Annex 3, maybe of particular interest, is a set of tips for writing your proposal. And similarly, for the young academic staff call, there is the main call, and then there are three annexes. So I just urge all of you to make sure that you've kind of read and familiarized yourselves with those documents. Okay, so in terms of the themes for this year, projects are going to be funded against 4 themes. The first of those themes is maritime education and training in the era of global change. And of course, we had some long discussions when we were putting these themes together about whether we should have an explicit theme looking at the challenges of COVID and so on. But we all agreed that there were so many sources of global change at the moment that we would open this theme up a little more and invite proposals looking at maritime education and training in the era of global change. And that could include COVID or any of those other issues that we're all familiar with at the moment. The second theme is around innovation and resilience in the maritime industry. So this is quite a broad theme, but it can look at technical innovation. It can look at resilience around things like cybersecurity or any of those kind of issues that are very current at the moment in maritime. And again, the documents that I've just referred to have got some examples of areas that may be relevant here. The third theme is obviously a very important one at the moment, and that's sustainability, and particularly sustainable shipping. So we're inviting proposals on the theme of sustainable shipping in whatever form you're interested in. And so that could involve things like green fuels, zero carbon propulsion systems, battery technologies, any of those things that are relevant to this topic. And then the fourth theme isn't really a theme in the sense that it doesn't have any particular criteria around it. It's an optional or self-generated theme that you can propose. And it can be proposed against any theme which aligns with the IAMU objectives and goals. So I would point you to the basic agreement on the IAMU website and articles 2 and 3 in particular, which outline obviously the objectives of IAMU. Okay, so if you're applying for the all academic staff track, then you will want to apply against one of these 4 themes. For the young academic staff, we don't have a set of themes which you apply against. Instead, all proposals for the young academic staff theme can be proposed against this optional idea. So again, projects may be proposed against any theme which aligns with the IAMU objectives and goals. So for that, I would urge you to look at the basic agreement, particularly articles 2 and 3. And I think for anybody who is putting a proposal in for this research project call, I would say it would be a very good idea to go and read that basic agreement to understand how your project fits into those fundamental IAMU visions. Okay, so they're the themes. The second thing I want to talk about is evaluation criteria, and looking at the pre-webinar survey, there was a lot of interest in this. So you can see in the documents that we've circulated that there is a table that's used for evaluation. The evaluation themselves are scored by our referees. So once you've submitted a proposal, they are sent to referees at a member university, and they are scored against, in the case of all academic staff call, 7 criteria. And each criteria is weighted from 1 to 4. And each criteria is then scored between 1 and 5. And so there's as I say, 7 criteria against which we evaluate the all academic call. And I just wanted to highlight a few important things around those. So the first criteria, which is weighted for, is the adequacy of the research aims, objectives, and questions. And so obviously what the reviewers, the referees, are looking for here is a really clear set of, really clear vision about what the project aims to achieve, the things that you're going to do in the project in order to meet that vision, to meet that aim, and really clear statements of the research questions that you're going to answer. And so the second criteria looks at the research methodologies that you're proposing to use. So having laid out the research question, the aims and objectives that you want to look at with your project, the second criteria is the extent to which your research methodologies are suited to achieving those goals. So a really clear statement of the research methodologies that are going to be used in your work. The third criteria is originality. So I think we're all accustomed to the idea that when we do research in a university environment, we want the research that we do to have an element of originality. And so this is a criteria that looks at to what extent is the work that you're proposing novel? Is the work that you are seeking to do in this project going to advance the community's understanding, or the kind of the discipline's understanding of the subject area that you are researching? And so it would be a good idea to ensure that you make some statements in your proposal about why your work is novel, about what it actually contributes to the body of knowledge if it's successful. And then the fourth criteria is a really important one. For IAMU, one of the most important things about the research projects is that they encourage collaboration between IAMU members. And so, in every application, we would like to see some collaboration between IAMU member universities. And this is a really important part of this whole initiative. So I would encourage you, if you're going to make an application, to work with colleagues from one or more other IAMU members. And what I'd say is that if you're in a situation where maybe you're struggling to make contact with other members who may be interested in collaboration, then I think as a working group, we're interested in finding ways of helping members collaborate with one another. But of course, one of the best ways that you can do that is by attending events like this, but also attending events like the AGA and the conference and so on. Okay, number 4 is the potential contribution to the IAMU objectives and the value of the expected impact. So obviously IAMU has a set of objectives in mind in terms of an organization. And so what the evaluators are going to look for is, how is your research project helping to support those objectives, and what's going to be the impact of the work? I think, again, in the research sort of environment, we're very accustomed to articulating what the impact of our work will be. Point 6 is about feasibility. Obviously, you need to convince the assessors that the work that you're proposing to do is feasible, that it's possible to do it on time and on budget. And so there needs to be a good, clear budget and a very clear timeline. And then the final evaluation criteria looks at the structure and the sort of design quality of the proposal. So in effect, this is a score to say how coherent, how well structured, and how well laid out is the proposal. Okay, now the criteria for young academics is almost identical, the only difference being that there is no criteria in here against collaboration. And the reason for that is that for the young academic scheme, there is no requirement for, or no strong necessity for the work to be collaborative. So that is not one of the criteria, but all of the other criteria are the same, and all of the things that I've said about them is just as true. Okay, so in terms of application process, in terms of eligibility for all academic staff, call, each IAMU member university can submit one proposal for each theme, up to a maximum of 4 proposals. So for the all academic staff scheme, your institution can submit up to 4 proposals, 1 for each theme. So you can't submit 2 proposals against a single theme, and the maximum number of proposals you can submit as an institution is 4. And as I say, we would strongly encourage all proposals to be written as a collaboration with other IAMU members. But it's not a strict requirement, but it's very much encouraged. For the young academic staff scheme, the criteria are that the age of the applicant needs to be less than or equal to 35 years old. The applicant must be a full-time academic member of staff at the member institution, but not a full professor. And that will mean slightly different things in different institutions, but I think probably it's a pretty clear distinction in terms of at what stage of one's career a young academic member of staff would be. And then the final point to make on this is that each IAMU member university can only submit 1 proposal against the young academic staff call. So that means that any individual member institution is eligible to submit up to a maximum of 5 proposals in total, 4 against the all academic staff track and 1 against the young academic staff pathway. Okay, so just got a couple of minutes left, and all I need to tell you about to finish up is the timeline for the process. So the deadline for submissions is the 31st of May this year, and that is at midnight Japanese Standard Time. Okay, so not GMT, Japanese Standard Time. The selection process will be then that proposals will be reviewed by referees, and that will happen during June and July this year. And then once those referees have returned their scores, the working group on research projects, which is chaired by Adam, will meet in August or September this year. And the final selections will be made based on the reviews that the referees provide. And then those selections will be ratified and notifications will be made in October of this year. The projects then commence in May 2023. So having been notified in October, successful candidates will be able to commence their research project in May 2023, and that will last 12 months through to May 2024. So I think that's quite a nice timeline, because it means that having been notified in October, you've got reasonable amount of time to start to plan for the start of the project, which is not always the case. So that's quite a nice timeline, I think. Okay, so that is all I wanted to tell you about, and I think that takes me to just 14 minutes and 50 seconds. So I've done it just in time, and so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to hand you over to Ian, who's going to talk about some tips for writing a good proposal.
Thank you very much, Christian, for a very interesting and informative presentation. So in the meantime, please put your questions, if you have ones, on the chat. So in the end, we will have a chance also to reflect on this. But now we have the second presentation. Ian, please, you can start sharing your screen. And this presentation will be actually about your experience and some tips, concrete tips, I guess, about how to be successful in applying and getting the project. There was, in the meantime, a question about the presentation. So I guess there will be such a chance to send you the presentations later on. Ian, we can see your presentation on the screen. So the floor is yours, and you've got also 15 minutes. Go on.
I'm going to give you a sort of overview of what I think makes a good IAM research proposal, or the things that you should remember and think about while you're writing one. The key points I'm going to make are about buying enough time, developing a good idea, putting together the right team, thinking very carefully about your reviewers, and also which is very important, which is actually to check your proposal, because it's amazing how many people forget to go through a proposal after they've written it. The first tip I would give you is to allow enough time, because there are a lot of steps involved in submitting a good proposal, and applications take far longer than you expect them to. As Christian mentioned, each member university can only make one application per theme, up to this maximum of 4. So you probably need to ensure that or within your university that you are coordinating your applications. Really, it's obvious that sort of it needs to be in place. The other thing you've got to do is having the right partners is quite important. So you're going to have to spend time contacting partners, identifying partners who can add value to the project, and that takes a lot of time. Your proposal also needs to be properly costed. You know, a good proposal should be accurately costed, but also you will need to comply with your university's costing methodology. So again, working out how to put your proposal together and get financial approval, certainly within our university, is quite an important factor. And also your organisation may need to give some form of approval. As I mentioned before, you can only make one application per theme, so there will be an approval mechanism within your organisation for an IAM grant. What I would suggest you do is also take time to find out how other colleagues, preferably senior colleagues, assemble teams and put together an application. So learning from your colleagues is quite an important factor. Even if you're experienced in grant applications in general, it's always worth contacting people who've made applications to IAMU. Well, the first thing you've got to remember is to think about a good idea. Originality is a key part of any good research proposal. So you've got to spend a little bit of time searching for inspiration to help produce a good idea. Look at projects that have been funded for in the past 2 or 3 years, for example. Talk to other people in the IAMU network. Talk to people in other disciplines. Obviously, sometimes cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary projects can produce quite innovative ideas. But also understand the things that IAMU is interested in. And to do that, I would suggest you spend time visiting the basic agreement, as we've said, look at the Tokyo statements, read perhaps the publications on the Global Maritime Professional, etc. Take time to look at the things that IAMU is interested in, look at the website, participate in events. Those are quite important factors. So look carefully at the goals for each theme. For example, in theme 2, you might have, you've got innovation resilience. There's certain goals that are identified, such as introducing innovative technology solutions, etc. So think about the impact of your project in helping IAMU achieve its aims and the goals of the theme. The next thing I think you need to do is to put together the right team. So you've got to give confidence that this project can be delivered. So assembling the team with the right skills to deliver a project is important. You've also got to provide evidence that the team can deliver. So there's a time spent identifying what is needed to deliver the project and ensuring that the team you put together are appropriately qualified with the right skills, and evidence in this is quite important. And consider again including partners from across the IAMU network. If you have a project which demands a particular skill that you perhaps are lacking somewhat in, then it's useful to be able to include a partner who can complement your skills with some additional expertise. So a good partnership gives reviewers the confidence that the project can be delivered. And including universities across different IAMU regions adds value to any application. The most important thing about a good application is to think about your reviewers. Your proposal is going to be reviewed by people with a variety of specialisms, and these people all have full-time jobs. And it's therefore important that you make your proposal as concise and as easy to read and understand as is possible. Make sure you provide a clear rationale for what you're doing and why you're doing it. Create specific aims and well-defined objectives to quantify success. Justify your methodology, which should be well-defined and clearly understood. And you need to break your project down into tasks and work packages. Also think about any weaknesses in your proposal, explain why it's worth supporting. Think about the risks and the mitigation actions and the contingencies that you might need to put in place to deliver the project. This is all about writing a convincing narrative which links your work packages to the delivering the objectives. So the key things are to be clear, focused, concise. Make sure that your work packages are linked to delivering your objectives, and spend a bit of time making sure that your proposal is easily read, i.e. delivers a convincing narrative or story that the reviewers will be able to take on board and understand quickly. The next thing to remember is that you need to check your proposal. It's possible, if possible, I would advise you asking someone who is not involved in writing the proposal to read it. If they struggle to follow it or are unable to quickly recognise the potential impacts of the research project, then it's likely the reviewers will too. And a reviewer who hasn't got time to spend deciphering your proposal is not going to score it particularly highly. And no matter how good your idea or how well thought out it is, a poor presentation will undermine a reviewer's confidence in a proposal. So have your application proofread, check your grammar, check your spelling, and check your formatting. And again, I cannot emphasize how important that is in making it a grant application accessible to a reviewer. So finally, successful applications are often the result of good preparation. So participate in IAMU events, network with partners, refine an original idea in advance of a research call. And the other important thing is not to give up. If you're unsuccessful at the first application, go back, review your application. If it's a really original idea, find out where the weaknesses in your application are, and refine the idea and perhaps make a fresh research application at the next call. So thank you very much for listening, and I think that's all I've got to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Ian, for this interesting presentation and the details. Thank you very much also for those of you who turned on your cameras so we can see you. It's really a meeting, a casual meeting. So if you want to show up, don't be afraid. It's really maybe a chance to really do networking within IAMU and find maybe your partner even today. And after the meeting, you will have a chance also to chat. So I could see that we have one question actually on the chat, one comment rather, regarding I guess Christian's presentation. So this is from Captain Altlav about collaboration with IAMU members, this criteria that it should be given less actually weightage because this seems comparing apple and with oranges. So thank you very much for this interesting comment. And I will ask my friends Christian or maybe Yusuke also to reflect on this, to react on this. Or if Captain Altaf, if you want to, develop your question or comment, you feel free also to do so. Yes. Christian, you would like to react on this?
I'm happy to comment. I think the reason why it's weighted as it is because the collaborative nature of these projects is a really important part of the objectives of the research projects. I think, you know, in my discussions with Yusuke and others, I think one thing that has really kind of become apparent is that the reason why IAMU and the Nippon Foundation decided that this was an initiative that should be founded and encouraged and promoted is that one thing that it really helps is to generate collaborative relationships between IAMU members. And it's also about capability building. So for some members, maybe who have less prominent research kind of capabilities, this is a great opportunity to collaborate with more established partners and to develop research capability in their institution. And so I don't think that we would apologize for making it an important criteria, but as you can see from the weighting, it's not necessarily it's not an essential criteria. A proposal that doesn't have a collaborative partner involved won't automatically fail to be selected. But I think that it's fair to say that it's a really important part of why these research projects were you know, established in the first place. I don't know whether Yusuke's got maybe anything to add to that.
Okay, thank you very much, Christian. Yusuke, would you like to add a word?
Yeah, thank you very much. I fully agree with what the Christian mentioned about that. That is the purpose of the research project funded by the IAMU. So we again encourage the people, the member university, to collaborate, work together, and building the networking among the member universities. That was, you know, the fundamental purpose for the research project. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much. I can see that actually Dr. Olesia Chuvilina made also a question about the number of proposals and also about what's the success rate. So Olesia, now we will have the answer, I hope, to this question. Yusuke? This was about how many proposals are going to be supported and what's the success rate. So I guess IAMU Secretariat has got the data about this.
We don't have any particular calculation result. I mean, the successful rate, unfortunately, but usually we have received 10 to 12 applications for each team, and only once was selected for each team. So, yeah, that's it. The, you know, general statistics of the successful rate. Yeah, but again, the last year we have 4 teams for all academic staff, but only 2 member universities submit 4 applications for the all academic staff. So I'd like to encourage all the member university to make use the best opportunity. So I encourage the member university to submit at least 4 applications. So I mean 1 application for each team. Yeah. Then you can increase the opportunity. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Yusuke. We have also a comment from IAMU University. We get only the comments of the referees and not the marks awarded for the project. Request to share the weightage awarded as well. So I guess it's a comment. And we have from Ronaldo Aliman in reference to collaborative activity, joint activity. May I know the number of schools in undertaking the collaboration? Means that the required number of schools. So maybe Christian or Yusuke?
So I've just put a comment in the chat to respond to that, but I'll repeat what I've said in the chat, which is that there isn't a minimum number of schools that are required to make the project collaborative. Obviously, it stands to reason that 2 or more collaborators makes it a partnership. I think it's quite common to see projects with 3 or more partner members involved, but you do need to be careful. I think when you go beyond maybe 3 or 4 partners, the management of the project might become really complicated. So there's probably a sweet spot just from the perspective of making it manageable. And I would suggest from experience, maybe 3 partners would be a kind of optimal number. And, you know, as I said before, that could be a partnership of 3 universities or 3 member universities where perhaps one of those partners may be less well established in terms of its research, but maybe is involved in order to try and help build its capability.
Okay, thank you very much, Christian, for this clarification. I have one question linking also this issue. How actually Liverpool John Moores University find the good partners for the project? So Ian or Christian, what's the mystery? Why are you so successful? What about your network?
I think you've got to, when you have a good idea, it's about assembling the right people with the right skills, and you find that through networking events, but also by, as I said in my presentation, is by looking back through IAMU conference proceedings or previous research applications, or just attending the conferences and actually seeing people speak at conferences. You get an idea for the capabilities of the people. And I think adding to the comment, how many partners, the sweet spot is having the minimum number of partners, but with the right balance of qualifications or skills. Because what you're trying to do too is not only to convince, to build capability, but also to convince a reviewer that this project can be delivered.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. We have also a particular question about, aside from being employees of IAMU University's members, is there any other requirement? Would you like to react on this? And also, what are the deliverables or expected outputs at the end of the IAMU research project? So, Christian or Ian, or maybe Yusuke?
Yeah, maybe I can take that question. So the requirement, actually, most of the information are included in the annexes of the call for research project. So please read that document again carefully, so that maybe you can find all the required requested information for the application. So the requirement itself, for all academic staff, of course, the coordinator has to be the full-time academic staff of the member university, but no other, the particular requirement for the applicants. But there is a clear eligibility criteria for your young academic staff. So I don't delete all the requirement at this moment, but you can find the information in the annexes of the call for. And what is the next question?
Actually now let's give the floor to our participants. Really, don't be ashamed. The floor is yours. You can ask the question, turn on your microphone and show up. So maybe we do have some 2 technical questions on the chat. But in the meantime, I encourage you strongly also to speak up and to show up. So you can raise your hand or just turn on your video and microphone and speak up. In the meantime, there is a question about template for the structure of the research proposal.
So I'll answer that one, Adam. So the the research proposal should be submitted using the forms provided. So there's a form 1Y, and those forms form the basis, so to speak, of the research proposal itself. So I think there's some a very structured layout that's required. I think that's true, isn't it, Yusuke?
That's correct. We have particular forms for the application, so please utilize the forms provided by the IAMU Secretary. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. We have a question from Emelisa Estimo. Is it possible for the IAMU to generate a directory, a list of potential research collaborators from different member universities, their email addresses, research interests, specialization, and other details, so we can easily invite them for a research collaboration? Yusuke?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, we have several comments for the previous the questionnaire before this webinar, and we talk up with the working group members, and we somehow realize that some member universities are struggling to find the research partners. So for instance, we can do, again, thank you for the question, for your kind of explanation about, I think the IAMU conference is the best place for us to building the networking and to find the good partners in the related area of the research. But of course, we can consider to develop the kind of, not directory, but the kind of the platforms to find the research partners among the member universities. It's maybe based on the website, or we can have another webinar, or we can have another, like the online conferences to find the good partners. But again, the participating in the IAMU event is the best opportunity for us to building the networking. But we should consider about that. Yeah, thank you very much for your kind suggestions. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Yusuke. Do we have any other comments or questions?
One more question in the chat here, Adam, that asks, can one university be a partner in different projects? Or if a university is a partner, then is it considered as a maximum 4 proposal per member? So I think what that question's asking then, if I may sort of rephrase it, is that if you are listed as a partner in another member's proposal, does that count towards your maximum of 4 submissions? And my understanding is it does not. So as an institution, for example, LJMU, for the institution that I'm part of, we could, as an institution, submit our 4 proposals for all staff. We could submit our 1 proposal for our young staff, but then we'd still be at liberty to be listed as a partner on proposals that are submitted by other members. And so that's a really good question. And the good news is, no, you're not limited in that way. And Yusuke's nodding there, so I'm glad I got that right.
Thank you very much, Christian. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments, please? Take this opportunity.
My name is Karthik. I am from Amet University. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, go on.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to know, when it comes to the referees' comments, normally there are 4 referees, what I could understand from my previous submissions. And it happens that in one of my case, 3 of them have given a very good comment, but one referee has given a comment which is not supportive. But I could see the proposal got rejected. I would like to know if all the 4 referees should give a positive comment, or is there on what basis it is done? I just want to know about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a very important issue. And Yusuke, would you like to react on this, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. We intentionally not open the referees evaluation, especially for the points to the applicants. because again, the initial evaluation will be made by the referees nominated by the working group, but the final selection will be made by the working group itself. So the points or comments from the referees, of course, we can open, we share the comments from the referee to the applicants for the future applications, but we are not open the points from the referee to the applicants. But instead, of course, we recognize that the issues that some of the referees, the comments are not sufficient. So from this year, we changed evaluation forms so that we can correct more variable and more correct feedback from the referees. Of course, we carefully find the appropriate referees from the list of the referees. So that we can improve the quality of the evaluation system. Yeah, let's see what happens. Thank you, Kasik.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments, please? We still have time.
So actually, this is the first time for us to organize a bit relaxing and more interactive webinar from the IAMU side. So we really would like to hear the voices around the participants, and we make it more interactive. So please don't put your question in the chat box, but instead to raise your voice and turn on your video. Thank you.
Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. We have an additional question. Is it possible for a young academic staff to collaborate with not young academic staff? Just arrived. So, any other questions or comments? Yes,
Angelica.
Yes, go on.
Hello, good evening. I'm Angelica Bailon from MAAP. My question is, in case the proposal is rejected for this year, for example, is it possible to submit the same proposal for next year, for the succeeding year? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yusuke, would you like to give, and we have also Rolando in a minute, Aliman, or is it also another issue, or also, yeah, go on, Rolando, if you want, go on.
Yeah, thank you. My question is on the criteria of age. Is it you are referring to the lead researcher or to all the members of the collaborative team when it comes to criteria on age?
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, I'm just asking our presenters or Yusuke to react to one of these questions, if you want, please. Or maybe we are not able to answer these questions. Too difficult for us.
Maybe I can ask the first, the Angelica's questions. Yes, you can submit the same proposal for the next year, but please refer the evaluation or the comments by the referees, and so that you can improve your the proposal itself, so that maybe you can submit the same similar proposal for the next year. The collaborative works for the young academic staff, actually there is no clear requirement for the eligibility of the partners. There is only indication that this young academic staff, there is the research partners are not required. So yeah, that's because yeah, go ahead, Christian.
So just to add to that, I think there isn't a strong statement either way, but there is a note in the guidance to applicants that says, and I'll put this in the chat, it says if relevant applicants have research partners. It says, if relevant, applicants can have research partners who are young academic staff in the IAMU member universities only. So my reading of that is that the intention would be that an applicant for the young academic staff would have only partners who were also young academic staff themselves, as opposed to a full professor or a more senior member of staff. So I think the answer to that question is that the intention of the guidelines would be that if you were submitting an application for a young member of staff and you intended to have a research partner, then it should be the case that that research partner is also a young member of staff.
Thanks.
I will.
Thanks for this clarification. Any other comments, any other questions, please? Take this chance. No more questions, no more comments? Okay, so Avtandil, would you like to say a few words or no, Yusuki? Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry to disturbing. Yeah, again, this is the first time for us to organize this kind of the webinar initiated by the working group member. But we are happy to assist the member university to organize this kind of the event. So we have quite a big number or a big potential to have this kind of the event. Even again, if you want to find the partners for the research partners, please utilize this kind of the conferences. So if you have any ideas for the future webinar, please give us your comments or suggestions to us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Be active.
Adam, I have some things. First of all, let me welcome all participants of webinar. It was very good idea to have a winner from those who wish to participate in the IAMU research project, which was suggested by the IAMU Secretariat, Mr. Yuseki Mori and Ms. Shigemi Matsuzaki. I also want to thank webinar speakers, Professor Christian Matthews and Professor Jan Jenkinson from Liverpool John Moore University. I would especially like to mention my colleague, the moderator of the webinar, Professor Adam Przybilowski from Gdynia Maritime University. Thanks to our speakers and the IAMU Secretariat, the webinar covered all the main issues that you need to know in order to successfully participate in the IAMU research project. This is first of all the call for proposals for the 2023 financial year, the list of teams, information on the teams, evaluation criteria, and the process applications. As for the all academic staff call and the special call for young academic staff. It's very important to have a clear idea about the project, what questions you intend to solve in the end, and how to write an IAMU research project so that it becomes a nominee for the winner. This is not an easy task. For this, all participants in the IAMU Research Project Proposal will have to work hard, and I think the success will definitely come. Finally, I ask all participants fill post-webinar questionnaire, which you will receive from IAMU Secretariat after the webinar. The response to questionnaire are important for us if we organizing the next webinar. I wish you success to all participants, and once again thanks the IAMU Secretariat and Working Group of Research Project for the excellent organization of the webinar. Thanks for attention.
Thank you very much, Aftandil. Let me just ask our rector, head of our academic affairs committee, Professor Adam Weintritt, to also give closing remarks.
So thank you very much, especially for the Adam, Yusuke, Christian, Ian, and Aftandil, and for your active participation in our webinar. I think that this webinar was very fruitful, and please remember that our most goal is to active cooperation between our university, and we have some 4 areas for cooperation for the research project, and we have clear criteria. If you have some question or doubt, please ask the secretariat. The secretariat is all the time very useful and can answer for the question. But in that moment, we provide a lot of projects which are very interesting, and I hope that the next project will be the same quality, and finally we will obtain the close cooperation between universities. Is our most important idea, cooperation between us, because we have researcher, we have area to discuss, and we have a field how to do this. It's a IAMU, and I wish you success to prepare the proposal for the next edition of our project session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rector. And I can see that Takeshi is with us. So Takeshi Nakazawa, our director of IAMU. So Takeshi, would you like also to give your final remarks, please? You are muted, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to say thank you very much for the organizers of the webinar today, and the speakers, and then also the participant who gave us a very active discussion and question and answer. Thank you very much again. I do know that the IAMU is an association of universities. Therefore, the research is one of the most important activity that all academic staff members at the IAMU member university have to do properly. That is the only difference between the universities and the vocational training centers. So because we are the association of university, this is a very important thing. On the other hand, generally saying the research costs money all the time. The research costs money. Hence, researchers need to apply for funds to funding bodies in their own countries and or abroad. The situation became so competitiveness. I mean, after the globalization, not only one country, but also for the many other countries. In this regard, making a good application is a substantial tool for the academic staff to survive at the universities, and you are in such a situation. In this point of view, I think the theme of the webinar today is very, very timely and very important. After having this discussion, you will be able to find so many friends and the research partner behind around the 70 member university. You have more than, I guess, more than 1,000 researchers behind the member university. You can select as many partners as possible, but before that, please just participate in the annual General Assembly and also the IAMU conference to make your own network within the IAMU. please use the IAMU for your purpose. That is very important things I would like to say. Honestly saying, the IAMU's fund for a research project is 60,000 maximum, which is for the all academic staff. Young academic staff, 30,000 US dollar, if my memory is correct. 20 or 30,000 US dollars maximum, which are not high enough comparing with the major research bodies, research funds. But if outcomes of research research activity by the IAMU were highly appreciated, academically appreciated, I would consider the further development of the IAMU research system, including the raising the fund, amount of the fund, and then the length of the research period is slightly longer than now. Now it's only 1 year. If your outcome is become very, very appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Takeshi. So it's the end of actually our webinar, our workshop. I would like to thank all of you for the participation. We've been really, I think it was pretty informative, this meeting. So thanks to our speakers mainly and the IAMU Secretariat representatives, Yusuke, but let's not forget Shigemi also. Shigemi, please show up, who was also, she's also technical support, her initiative. So we hope you are pleased, satisfied with this seminar. And now our idea, since it's a rather cool meeting, not a very formal one, so let's close this part officially. But if you want to stay, you can stay for a while on the meeting and also maybe exchange some information. I can see on the chat also that there are representatives from Piri Reis University from Turkey that are searched for. So thank you very much and hope to see you during next IAMU events, and let's hope for peace. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.